Hello, this is Bwana from Bwana.tv, and welcome back to DCS Digital Combat Simulator. You know, I've been calling it Digital Combat Series because I didn't know any better, but now it's Digital Combat Simulator, or DCS. This is day 3 of my kind of like tutorial learning session that I'm having with one of my community members, Dr. Slaughter Rex. And in this video, he's going to be showing me a lot of the instruments and what they all mean in the F16 Viper. And I hope you enjoy it. The first beginning of the video, I do a little bit of landing practice to kind of refresh my memory on how to fly the thing in true Bwana fashion. You know, it didn't go completely as planned, but I'm proud to say that I actually had fun doing it. So Dr. Slaughter goes on to talk about the instruments, and it's kind of lengthy, but it's good reference material. And if you guys want to come back to this video, if you're learning the F16, you want to learn about certain parts of the plane, highly recommend you go to that part of the video and just hear the explanations. I think they're really, really good. All right, enjoy the video and let's go. And we will try not to crash. This thing is hard to taxi for me. I tend to roll it quite a bit, so I apologize in advance if I roll this guy the first time around. All right, nose wheel steering is on. See that AR NWS right there? I just turned it on. I gotta try to line this up to the best of my ability, right? Because I want to turn off nose wheel steering and stay on the runway, but I haven't been very successful with that, but we're gonna try it. Easy she goes. There's the wobble. There's the wobble. Alright, we'll turn it off now. Probably was a bad idea to turn it off there. Okay, we're gonna punch it now because this is the point of no return. Because I was about to die there. We've committed. We have officially committed. Alright, we're gonna practice landing this guy. There it is! That is straight ahead down there? Yeah, it is. Okay, good. We'll do another pass. And I don't remember the tricks of slowing this thing down, but, right. No kidding. We're probably gonna have to abort this. Yeah, it's too fast. I don't know how to slow down. Like, this thing doesn't have flaps or anything, so I don't know how to slow down. Touch and go, chat. We'll just say we touched and go and just pretend we did. Punch it! The thumb switch on the throttle. Can't do this in an airplane. It was overstressed and plane and probably just tear it to pieces. Hard banks like that. Oh, there it is. Yep, that's it right there. So it's that button. Okay, that's what I actually have for reverse thrusters on Flight Sim. So okay, that makes sense. I don't know what the beeping is, but I didn't mean to do it. All right, landing gear. Wait, did I? Now landing gear is down. See that little guy down there? Okay, so I could do... Okay, I actually hear it now. I think I turned them off. They don't sound off, chat. Speed brakes are still on. Boinkies! That's cool.
Well, what I had planned was kind of just going over each portion of the cockpit and kind of doing like a familiarization to get so you kind of know where everything is. So if we're like saying flip this switch and do this, and then you're just not like, okay, where is that?
Right. Okay.
What does this do? That sort of thing. So I'll kind of go You can follow along with that guide if you want to.
Okay.
Or you can do it in game, so you can get used to like moving your head around and looking at stuff and that sort of thing at the same time.
I'll try to do it in game. Be good for the audience, I guess. So should I just load into the mission and stay parked and look around?
Yeah, you could just stay parked.
Yeah.
It doesn't require you to be in the air or anything like that quite yet.
Okay. Okay, should I start her up or no?
You don't have to unless you just want to.
No, I won't.
So what we'll do is we'll start far left hand corner and just do like a full sweep all the way around.
Okay.
Starting from the test panel. This is gonna be your left console all the way from the back left hand side all the way up towards the front where the throttle sits. That's your left console. Test pan. I won't go over each individual switch unless you want me to, unless it's important for it. The test panel, you can see where it says test, and next to that you'll see flight control. It'll tell you what each individual section is in the jet.
Right.
Test panel you don't usually use unless you're ramp starting the jet. It'll test like your fire and heat detection and your oxygen panel and stuff like that. It'll just test all these sorts of things.
Okay.
To the right of that, that's your flight control panel. That does things like if you want to lock your flaps, your leading edge flaps down for whatever reason. There's a switch for that. It's called LE flaps. See in the bottom left portion of that section.
Okay.
FLCS, that stands for flight control system. There's a reset switch for that in case you have like an error pop up or a fault pop up or anything like that. You would flip that switch and that would reset your flight control system.
Right. Manual
TF fly up. I don't think that's a thing in DCS quite yet. That's for when you use terrain following mode. That's if you have a terrain following enabled in the aircraft. So if you're flying like 50 feet off the ground, the jet has the capability to completely automate itself and hold that 50 feet and go over trees, go over hills and stuff like that and just follow the terrain, and you don't have to touch the flight controls at all. So I don't think that's quite enabled in DCS yet. It is in BMS, but not quite DCS, I don't think.
Okay.
The bit switch is it just performs a bit test, which is a built-in test is what it's called. Basically runs through, make sure it's working for the most part. That's the most basic form to explain it. Under that panel, you have your manual trim panel. That's where you would look if you need to see exactly where your trim is. So if you drop a bomb and you're hitting the trim button and nothing's happening and you can't figure out where your trim is at, you look down there and that'll tell you exactly where your trim is. Basically, top left is your roll trim, bottom left yaw. To the right of that is your pitch.
Right.
And then top right, you should have a trim / AP disc switch. It's a 2-position switch. Norm, the stick trims are energized and the autopilot operation is possible. Disc, the stick trims and autopilot are inhibited. So manual trim remains operative pretty much.
Okay, question. Going back to the flaps, I remember you saying that the F16 has auto flaps.
Yes.
Like it automatically deals with that. So is this a manual override, the stuff up there with the flaps, or what's going on with that?
You see the LE flap switch right there?
Yeah.
That is just the leading edge flaps, so on the front of the wing. It doesn't control the backside flaps.
Okay.
Like you're used to.
Right, okay. Leading edge flaps.
Yeah, it's just for the leading edge flaps.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Okay, back up towards the top to the right of the flight control. That's going to be your fuel panel. You're going to have your fuel master switch. It's guarded by the red red flap right there. It's locked to the master position or whatever. It basically guards you from accidentally switching that off, because if you switch it off, then you have no fuel. Tank inerting, that's for the fuel tank is a pressurized tank, so that will lower the pressurization of the tank if you flip that on. That's like if you're going for an air refueling kind of situation. If you have the refuel door open, because if you hit F2 and you look on top of the jet, you can actually see where the fueling probe would go. It's like right in the middle of the jet on top. If you have that door open, it'll actually mess up the pressurization in the tank, and it could actually cause some really bad problems. Oof. You can see it that where that little looks like a Christmas tree looking thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right in front of the vertical stabilizer. That's where the refueling probe would go. If you have that door open for too long, it'll cause depressurization at the tank, and it'll cause fuel problems. So you won't get a fuel. It'll essentially stop your engine from getting fuel. Pretty much. Engine feed knob to the right of that basically controls what pumps are active at the time. Off means all pumps are off. Norm, all pumps are on. And the CG of the plane's maintained automatically. The computer controls all of that. Aft, only the aft pumps are on. Fuel is transferred from the aft tank to the engine, and the CG moves forward. So if you have an issue where you have like a fuel leak in one of the tanks and your CG starts getting weird, you can flip that switch and you can kind of even it out a little bit better, so the plane might not have any faults or anything like that, and you might get a better response from it. Air refuel, that's where you would open the air refueling door. That's when you're pretty much lined up for the probe, and you open that up, and then the probe will come in, and it'll make contact and start refueling you. That's pretty much that. IFF is below that. This is basically where you're looking at the fire control radar, and then it'll basically, and really quick, it'll tell you who's a bad guy and who's not, pretty much. Okay. IFF stands for I can't remember what the actual what it's actually called. Identify friend or foe. That's what it is.
Okay.
So I don't know off the top of my head how deep that actually goes in DCS. It goes pretty deep in BMS, but it's not. It's super classified. IFF is, because that's still something they use in the military today. So they're gonna have like a really basic one. It's just gonna, I think the way DCS does IFF is it bases it on the red versus blue. Whoever made the mission or whatever, like Iran could be red in one mission, and then they could be blue in another mission. So that first mission they'll come up as a bad guy, but then the second mission they could come up as a good guy. So it all depends on the mission maker. We won't dive too deep into it, but I can explain how that works if you so want to.
Probably in the future.
Yeah. It gets pretty deep. It's not too easy to understand to begin with. There's like 4 different modes. There's a civilian mode and all these kinds of things. I learned all of this in school when I did avionics in school, but it's not really something that's gonna make or break the game for you. I just got to tell you that it tells what a bad guy is on your radar. Okay. That's all you really need to know.
That's the TLDR. Yeah. Bad guy, bad.
Below that is going to be your exterior lighting. All exterior lights except for the taxi light are controlled on this panel. Basically, anti-collision switch is like the red. If you ever watch an airplane flying at nighttime, you'll see like a red light and a green light on one side. Those are like your anti-collision lights that they're color coded to let you know what side is which.
I think Flight Sim calls them either beacon or strobes. One of them. Yeah, I think they call them strobe lights or something.
Yeah, they're really similar. Yeah. basically the anti-collision, the top left knob, you'll see modes 1, 2, 3, 4, then A, B, and C. 1, 2, 3, 4 are different flashing modes. So if you're in a fort, so the Air Force calls them ships.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in a flight, that's a 4-ship flight. So you have 4 planes in a flight,
Mm-hmm.
and an element is 2 of those. It's like a fire team. So you can think of a flight as a squad, and then an element as a fire team.
Okay,
If that makes sense.
yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. So plane number 1 would be set on 1. Plane number 2 would be set on 2, and then 3 and 4. So that's how they could, in a visual glance at nighttime, they can determine who is who just by looking at the flashes of their anti-collision lighting.
Okay. Hey, I gotta take a break. We'll continue after take a break. Yeah, we just gotta run an ad real quick. Chat, y'all know what to do. Go to Discord, enter the giveaway, chill out, go get something to drink. Dr. Slaughter probably needs some water after all that talking. I'll be back. And yeah, I'm taking all this in. Listen, I know you guys are probably like, oh, this is boring, whatever. But, the stuff I won't remember, I can use this video as a reference. And I can come back and I can look at, say, okay, what was that he said? And then come back to the video and watch it. Like, I'm retaining a lot of it. It's not, well, for lack of a better word, it's not rocket science. It's just, he's just explaining what each section does. And since they're in the far back left, they're back there for a reason. You're not going to use them very, 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 very often. So
it gets a lot less boring the further forward we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Once
Exactly.
we get to like the MFDs and the cool stuff,
yeah,
it'll get better.
So just be patient. We're learning, and I'll be back, guys. You guys be good. All right. So we left off on exterior lighting. I think you were
Okay.
on that one.
Basically what I said was pretty much the overview of it. You got your, flash or steady lights. You got wingtail brightness on the right hand side. Your master switches in the middle down there.
Okay.
Aerial refueling light on the bottom right. That's basically the overview there. Above that, you're starting to get to where everything's kind of sideways now. Above that,
I'm trying to twist my hand here. Okay, that's good.
Next is your aviator panel. It's basically right there next to where your hip would be.
Okay.
That basically, so in the military, they would record some of their events using in an Acme format or something like that. Or in DCS, there's an actual program you can get called TAC View, where you would fly a mission, record the Acme, and basically see a full-on replay of the entire mission, so that you know what you did wrong and like what you can change and things like that.
Right.
The aviator panel just turns that on. ECM panel is like super duper black tape, classified stuff. So that's basically your jammer. Keeps people from seeing you on radar. That's basically it.
Okay.
Left of that is your electricity panel, your main electrical system. That's where you're going to turn on, your battery power. This is for like starting up the jet. I don't imagine you're going to try to learn starting up the jet manually anytime soon.
Maybe I'll do it as a challenge.
Yeah, because it's not hard. It's just it's just another hurdle to get over.
Right.
But the electrical panel, that's where you would turn on the battery for your systems and like do all your tests and stuff like that. And you would turn on the main power, and that's where you would start your process for starting the engine and stuff like that. We won't go over anything like that. EPU panel, that's a self-contained emergency hydraulic system. That's your emergency power unit. So things like your landing gear, if your hydraulics get messed up or anything like that, and you can't drop your landing gear, your EPU would kind of maybe help for that sometimes. Usually if I fly a mission and I have an issue like that, I just do something to get me killed anyway. I mean, it's a game, it's whatever. Like yeah. If I'm like dropping bombs and I get shot up by a Shilka, obviously I'm trying not to get shot up, but if there's like that one time that I do just get shot up, I'm not gonna try to start my EPU to start myself back up or anything like that. I'm just gonna fly it home, and if I don't make it home, I don't make it home.
Yep. I'd probably just blow up.
Next is going to be your audio panels. So your audio 2, these are for like your radios. Your audio 2 is going to be your TACAN and like intercom and stuff like that. So ILS and things like that. It's right there below where it's kind of covered up by your throttle right now.
Yeah, I was looking for it. It's like
you see it's like right above your ECM panel.
Yeah, I see it now. I can't move the throttle up. I was trying to click it and move it up, but I can't. I mean, I physically move the throttle, it's not moving, so. But I see it here.
But that's where you're going to control like the volume for your ILS and your TACAN and all that stuff.
I see it.
Audio 1 is going to be your actual radios. So you're going to see COM 1 and COM 2. That's for UHF, VHF radios. The missile warning is on the right there. Your threat warning is below that. Then you're going to see the switch for your, squelch or guard or anything like that.
Okay.
Those you kind of use them in a single player, but you don't really use them. You would just tune to the correct frequency, and then that's how you would like talk to tower and stuff like that. But in the missions that I sent you, that's not really a big deal.
Right.
We don't have to dive into that at all, really. Left of that is your jet start panel. This is where you actually start the jet. You'll see like the start 1, start 2 switch, stuff like that. Using the JFS, the jet fuel starter. It's like an independent turbine type thing that is charged hydraulically, and that's what starts the engine. So to the right of that, you have your backup radio, backup UHF. That's the little green LCD screen with all the little knobs with the arrows pointing to it.
Right.
That's your only backup radio. It's a UHF radio. It's basically, if you lose power and you get shot up and you lose a radio, that's your backup. That's pretty much all you got.
Cool.
To the left of that, you'll see a switch that has like 2 guards over it. That's your manual pitch override. So like if you get into a flat spin, like if you remember me telling you, the plane is controlled by a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty 9 times out of 10. That override switch is going to override the flight control system and give direct control to the elevators to you. It won't do the ailerons or anything like that, but it will do the elevators. So if you get into like a flat spin, or like if you're falling out of the sky kind of situation, you can flip that to override and just start rocking the stick back and forth, and that'll eventually get you into kind of like a nose down position where you can gain enough forward momentum that you're getting air across the wings and you can get lift again.
Have you ever used that in this game?
Not in this game, but I do in BMS sometimes, because sometimes I'll be like dogfighting or something, and then I just go into like a deep stall.
Right.
If you're high enough, you could just flip that to override, and you can literally just rock the plane back and forth. Just bring the nose up and then back down just repeatedly, and eventually you'll just get enough momentum on the nose that it'll just stick straight down towards the ground, and you'll get enough forward momentum that you can have control of the airplane again. The last bit on this left-hand side would be like the left side wall. If you look on the stick on the throttle itself, you'll see like a pinky switch kind of thing. That's going to be where your idle cutoff is. So right now it's in the cutoff position where the throttle's all the way back. What you would do is you would pull that button, you would lift the stick up, and then push it forward, and that's what gets you into the idle position.
Oh, cool.
That little yellow switch above that on the wall That's actually a guard for the canopy switch to keep you from hitting it on accident. It's a little spider thing. Behind that is the canopy switch.
I wonder how many people have hit these things by accident to warrant these guards. Just like, whoops.
And then all of a sudden they're flying in a convertible.
Oh, man.
Next up is your left auxiliary console. So now we're going a little bit vertical here. This is going to be where your gear controls and stuff like that are.
Okay.
You're going to see first up is your alt gear handle. It's going to be like in the kind of bottom left-ish area, I believe. Or no, I want to say it's the top right. I don't remember. I don't ever use the alt gear handle, so I don't worry about it.
Okay.
Your threat warning auxiliary panel is going to be in the bottom left. You should see it. Threat warning auxiliary.
Right.
It's got like 4 buttons down there.
Yeah.
This is where you turn on your EWS suite, so your electronic warfare stuff, like your RWR and stuff like that. That's where you hit the power button. That's what turns all that kind of stuff on. Your HMCS panel to the right on the very bottom, you'll see the knob that says symbology on there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what turns on this stuff. So like if you're looking outside, like whenever you turn on the jet and you look outside the cockpit, and then it shows all the HUD symbology, even though you're looking to the left or right. That's where you would turn that on, and that it's a dimmer switch, so it's all the way to the left, and it like clicks to where it's an off position.
Oh, okay.
And you turn it, and it'll turn it on, and then you can just adjust how bright you want it in the jet.
That'd be useful at night, because I know sometimes you may want it to be dimmer.
Oh yeah.
Or brighter in some cases. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to, you can go ahead and turn the jet on, and you can say you can kind of get an idea of some of these things as we get to like the MFDs and stuff like that.
All right. Powering on.
Above that's going to be your CMDS panel. That's part of your electronic warfare stuff. This is going to be where you would power on your chaff and flares, pretty much.
CMDS, I don't see it. Where is it?
It's
there it is.
Above,
I see it.
Down at the bottom, above the HMCS.
I got it. I went too far up.
This is going to be where you... so the jet actually works on a data tape format. So like before any mission, a pilot would set up their data tape and their chaff and flare programs and stuff like that. You'll see on there the knob for program. They'll code in what program they want on this data tape, and they'll put in their data tape, and that knob will let them choose what program they're used, so that whenever they actually hit the CMS switch on their throttle, it'll do that program. So like if you want 2 flares and 2 chaff on program 1, or you can have 1 flare and 2 chaff on program 2, or anything like that. You can customize it however you want.
Cool.
And depending on your needs and stuff like that. Let's see. Above that is going to be your gear panel. It's going to be like your landing gear switch. You know where that is. You're going to have the 3 lights for your landing gear. That'll come on when your gear is down. Left of that is going to be your emergency jettison button. You'll see like the yellow and black lined area next to the 3 wheel lights.
Mm-hmm.
If you're carrying bombs and fuel and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden you come over a mountain and there's a bad guy right there, and he's about to shoot a missile at you, and you got to pull 9 Gs. Well, you hit that button, and that drops pretty much everything, all the bombs, all the fuel, and all that stuff, so that you can immediately go to air-to-air mode and fight him.
Hey, thanks, Waddell, for the tier 1, man. Appreciate it.
The DN lock release button, I don't think that's implemented. It allows the pilot to to retract the landing gear while on the ground for whatever reason you would want to do that.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Down here.
there's the hook you'll see above the landing gear lever. Above
Right.
that, you'll see like a hook-shaped lever. It says up or down. That's for the arrestment wire system. So like it has a kind of a hook on the plane for grabbing a wire, but not like on a carrier. It's not built for like landing on a carrier and grabbing a wire there. It'll just rip the hook right off the plane. But some airfields will come equipped with arrestment wires on the airstrip. So, you know, if you lost your hydraulics and you have no brakes, you just drop the hook and it'll slow you down enough to where you're not rolling off the other end of the runway or anything like that.
Okay.
To the left of your landing gear lever, you should see your landing light switch and your taxi lights below at the bottom of your panel.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you turn on if it's nighttime and you want lights for taxiing, you would flip that switch down in the downward position, and that'll give you taxi lights. And if you're at a nighttime operation and you need landing lights, you would just switch it to the up position. The middle is off. Horn silencer is a white button. When depressed, it basically stops the low speed or no gear audible thing going off.
So if you're in trouble, you just want some silence.
Yeah, if you just want to shut up, you just hit that button and it'll just stop.
That's good to know.
You're like, quit yelling at me.
Exactly. I know I'm in trouble. I know I'm, you know.
To the left of that, you should see a stores config, and it'll say Cat 1 or Cat 3.
Okay.
This is a pretty important switch in a combat situation because Cat 1 is going to be basically if you're almost in a clean jet, all you have is like air-to-air missiles and stuff like that. Cat 3 is kind of like a air-to-ground config situation. Cat 3, it tells the jet, hey, I'm carrying bombs and fuel and stuff like that, and I don't want to over G the jet, so it'll put like a AOA, an angle of attack limiter on the plane.
Okay.
And it'll prevent you from pulling too many G's and stuff like that. Let's see, you should see a ground jettison switch. I think it's above that, just above that. You should see enable and off. Enable, it allows the pilot to jettison his load on the ground, basically. So if you're loaded up with bombs and then you got to scramble and shoot somebody down, then you just hit that and it'll let you just drop the bombs while you're on the ground.
Okay.
Like they won't blow up because they won't be armed or anything like that, but it'll let you just drop them right where you're at.
Okay.
There should be a brakes channel. It's not really anything to worry about too much. It just depends on, it's like a hydraulic channel switch. And then to the right of that, you'll have your parking brake. So it's a parking brake. I don't really feel like I have to explain that.
Yeah. I actually didn't know where that was. That's good to know.
Now you know. Now we're getting to the cool stuff. So now we're looking at the center console. That's everything above your landing gear panel.
Right.
All the way across the whole. That's everything in front of you and everything that's between your legs. Like all your steam gauges and stuff. Now we're looking at all of the cool stuff. Starting from the left-hand side, that's your miscellaneous panel. So this changes from block to block, but we're in the block 50. So you're not, it's only got one block in DCS. You're looking at, from the bottom is your autopilot controls. So you're going to have your basically heading select as the top switch, attitude hold is the middle, and then steering select lets the plane actually fly steer point to steer point. So it'll fly to whatever steer point you have selected. So if you have steer point 1 and you turn it on, it's going to fly to your, typically steer point 1 is your, is right in front of the airstrip when you take off. Mm-hmm. And then you would just select steer point 2 and it'll automatically turn for the heading to get to steer point 2 and stuff like that. Basically what you're used to in Microsoft Flight Sim.
Right.
Right of that, that's how you actually turn on the autopilot. So if you pull it up, it'll do an altitude hold, so it'll just fly straight. Mm-hmm. It'll straight and level. Middle is off, and the bottom is attitude hold. So if you're 5 degrees nose up and you put on attitude hold, it'll hold that 5 degrees.
Gotcha.
That sort of thing.
Okay.
Above that is going to be your master arm switch. That's going to be your one of your most important switches in the jet. So if you're flying, simulate gives you all the same symbology on the HUD. It gives you all the same symbology in the MFDs, but when you actually push the pickle button or pull the trigger or anything like that, it won't actually release any ordnance.
Right.
When you want to actually kill something, you want to be in master arm, or else it's not going to do anything. The HUD's just going to yell at you and be like, I can't do it. You haven't flipped the right switches.
Right,
that sort of thing. See, the alt release button is a big red button. Works exactly like the pickle button if for some reason you can't push it on the stick. It's basically another pickle button.
Gotcha.
Left of that is laser arm. That's how you arm the laser for your targeting pod. So if you've got laser guided bombs and you've got a targeting pod on there, you're gonna have to arm the laser to fire from the targeting pod. That's how you do that. The RF switch above that's basically your basically tells your radar to go either stay in normal operating, go quiet, or go completely silent. Normal is the default position. Quiet reduces the level of electronic emissions by turning the radar and IFF to standby. So basically, it makes it harder for people to detect you on their radar. And silent just shuts everything off. Everything that's electronically actuated, radar, TFR, radar altitude, ECM, IFF, all that stuff, it just turns all of that off. So you're basically a ghost on people's radar.
Nice.
We're going to move up to the left eyebrow. That's going to be the edge up there where the buttons are. So you're going to see like the IFF ident push button. That's basically something to do with the IFF. That's behind closed doors. We don't really know what that does for real. It's going to have like red warning lights for TFR stuff. I really don't think TFR is implemented in DCS as of yet, so you don't really have to worry about that. The FAC button, that's basically fault acknowledgement button. So if you have a fault in your MFD, you can hit that button. It'll make it go away.
Okay.
So it's kind of like another button to push other than master caution, stuff like that. Now we're getting to the MFDs. These are the two screens in front of you. You can set them up basically however you want. As far as what might
for the wife's
be
chair.
better for you in air
Cheers
to air
for having
versus
such
air
a
to
chill
ground
channel
versus
and
nav
community
modes.
keep doing you smile.
Thanks, Waddell.
So,
go ahead.
So you're if you let's just focus on the left MFD. They're both the same, but it'll go for both of them. The buttons are arranged in a clockwise motion from top left all the way around, starting. They're called OSBs. They're option selection buttons is what they're called. Starting from the top left, it goes from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the right hand side is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 20. And then you're gonna have rockers on each side to fix the gain and the contrast of each. So if you need more contrast or gain to be able to see, like if the sun's too bright or if it's nighttime, it's just ridiculous, you should be able to change those. We'll dive into those a little bit deeper in a little bit. Find my page real quick. Okay, above that is going to be your RWR stuff. So above your left MFD, you'll see a big screen, circular screen, and you'll see a bunch of buttons next to it. This is going to be your RWR. The plane it's not going to automatically turn it on whenever you do the auto start in the game, I don't think. You can look, if you remember, at the bottom left panel of your below your landing gear, in the bottom left where I said that power button was, you remember?
Yeah.
See if that power button's turned on right now. If not, try hitting that power button to see if anything happens.
Under the landing gear.
So you see the threat warning auxiliary panel left of your CMDS panel?
Oh yeah, this power button here. Okay.
Yeah.
It's on now.
Did it beep or anything like that?
Yep. Beep beep beep.
So that now you can look at your RWR and it should be turned on now.
Okay, it says mode open, and yeah, looks
Yeah.
like it changed.
So you don't have anything pinging you right now, but now whenever if a MiG-29 starts pinging you on their radar, that's where you're going to see it. It's going to tell you what direction it's coming from. It's not going to tell you distance. Some F16s have that ability to tell distance through the RWR, but this one does not. The way it works is on the outer edge. So now you can see on there, you should see an E2.
Yeah, I see it.
E2 is your AWACS, so it'll have different codes for things. So like if there's a MiG-29 out there pinging you, it'll just show you a 29 with a little chevron above it. That tells you it's a MiG-29.
Okay.
What it is things will show on the outer edge, like it's showing you right there. The closer in towards the center it is, the more of a threat it is.
Okay.
So if it's like in the middle, closer to you, then it's a critical threat that you need to be wary of. That means they've probably either already shot at you or they're getting ready to shoot at you.
Oh.
That sort of thing. Let's see. The buttons are kind of like a way to kind of customize it, whatever your situation is. Handoff mode is I don't know if any of these are implemented as deeply as I know them to be. You can change them. You can hit the mode button from open to priority, and that'll kind of focus on the highest priority thing that's pinging you right now.
Cool.
So if sometimes a MiG-31 will be a higher priority than a MiG-29 is, because a MiG-31 is like their mega fast interceptor jet. So he'll be coming in at like Mach 2, screaming down your neck, and a MiG-29 might be just hanging out, So that'll kind of do your priority thing. That's really the most important thing. Other than underneath that, you'll see a target separation thing. So if there's a bunch of threats stacked on top of each other and it's in the same direction, you can hit target separation, and it should separate them so that you can see each individual thing that's pinging you. But you'll lose kind of an accurate direction of where they're at. So it'll spread everything out, so I got an SA2, an SA3, an SA8, a MiG-29, and all that stuff. But then you turn that off, and then all of a sudden they're all stacked on top of each other because they're all coming from the same direction.
Okay.
Let's see, above that is going to be your left side indexer. It's going to be on the left-hand side of your HUD. You'll see like two chevrons, one pointing down, a circle in the middle, and then a chevron pointing up. This is going to basically be a visual representation of your angle of attack. It's going to be like a direct representation that you can look at. It's going to kind of coincide with your AOA tape that's between your legs, but you don't have to look it down to get what it's trying to tell you. So the top light that points down comes on when your angle of attack is 14 degrees or higher, or is above 14 degrees. The center light is a green kind of a donut, and that tells you when your AOA is between 11 and 14, so around 13. Yeah, around 13 degrees is the desired AOA for landing. And then the bottom is when you're below 11 degrees, and this helps you landing because it basically tells you to speed up or slow down when you're landing. So
I know some planes and flight sim have this too.
Yeah, I think it basically works essentially the same for civilian planes. So basically what it's telling you is if the red light on top is flashing at you or it's on, that means you are, for your on-speed angle of attack, you're too slow. So it's telling you to speed up.
Okay.
What you're aiming for is that green donut in the middle.
Gotcha.
So if it's the bottom one, that means you're too fast and it's telling you to slow down. If it's the top one, you're going too slow and you need to speed up. But if you're just right, then the middle one will show. These lights are always on, even when the gear is retracted. So if you're in a dogfight situation and dogfights use angle of attack a lot to gauge, turn speeds and stuff like that sort of thing. So that'll always be on. Next up is your heads-up display. I'll go a little bit deeper in that a little bit because there's a lot of information that shows on there. We'll just go straight into the ICP. ICP and DED is kind of where you do your do all the controls for all the the subsystems and things like that. So you can call it ICP or integrated control panel. Some people call it some people call it the UFC, but the UFC is really the whole shebang. The DED is the data entry display. That's the little screen that's like the flashing the ready on the right hand side.
Mm-hmm.
That's where if you hit COM 1 and COM 2 buttons on your ICP, that's gonna let you edit things in the DED. So that'll change and stuff like that. So if you want to go back, if you go look at the bottom of the ICP, you'll see like a little mini stick looking thing. You just hit that on the left side where it says RTN or return. That'll return you back to the main page.
I think I had it.
If
Yeah,
not,
I think
just don't have to worry about it. We'll go straight into the steam gauges. Top left steam gauge, that's going to be your Mach meter, however you want to say it. That's going to tell you your airspeed and your Mach in the inner dial.
Okay.
You should see like a red arrow or a red area. That's called the V and E, or velocity never exceed kind of thing. But we all know Salty's going to do that anyway. That's basically showing you, hey, don't go past this speed.
Right.
For the most part. The green one is basically a carrot that you can set wherever you want as a visual helper to say, hey, I want to be going this speed at this time, and you can set that however you want to. I think it's the set index thing.
Yeah.
You might have to use the mouse wheel on it.
Yeah.
Or you might, You just turn that to wherever you want to have a visual representation. It's like a guide or whatever. To the right of that is your altimeter. I assume you kind of have an idea how to use that.
Yep.
Below your speed gauge is going to be your AOA meter, AOA indicator.
Right.
Displays a range of -32 to +32 degrees, approximately.
Right.
Tape color is color coded from 9 degrees to 17 degrees to coincide with that indexer that I told you about up there next to the HUD. So if it's green on your AOA indexer, it should show green on your indexer as well. They both show the same thing. One shows you numerically. The other one shows you just using the lights and stuff like that.
Okay.
To the right of that is your ADI, your attitude direction indicator. It's pretty self-explanatory from you flying in Microsoft Flight Sim.
Yep.
Next to that is your VVI, or vertical velocity indicator. I don't think there's any planes that really have anything like that in Microsoft Flight Sim. I know they have them like in the avionics sometimes, but not in this format. This is basically telling you in feet per minute how fast you're going up or down.
Right.
That sort of thing. Below that, you should see a knob that says instrument mode panel. It'll have like a knob on top and stuff like that. This basically shows your HSI. To the left of that, it tells you It might not be implemented in DCS, but there'll be a panel for your HSI that tells you what mode to put it in.
Okay.
DCS might not have that. Your EHSI, that's the thing that's right in the middle. Your navigational aid, pretty much. So that helps you line up your course for TACAN or ILS or anything like that. In case you can use it in case your HUD gets knocked out or anything like that. It's got the compass on there, all that sorts of thing. It's pretty easy to use compared to Microsoft Flight Sim, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
To the right of that, you should have your fuel quantity select panel. That shows you. That's going to determine what your fuel gauge is showing, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Fuel quantity panel shows you it should be set on norm by default. Then it'll have reserve, interior wing, and exterior center line. Above that should be a marker beacon. It's like a green button. I don't think those are implemented in DCS.
Yeah, it doesn't mark.
Okay, now we're going above your right MFD now. Above your right MFD, you should have a fuel flow indicator. I mean, like in the top corner. Basically, this is it'll visually show you about pounds per hour, how much fuel you're using.
Mm-hmm.
It'll go up if you give it fuel. If you give it gas, it'll go up. If you let off the gas, it'll go down. When you go afterburner, it'll use like 40,000 pounds per hour. It'll exceed 40,000, that sort of thing. It just gives you a kind of an idea how much fuel you're using, so you kind of get used to. I have this much fuel. I should only be burning this much right now to basically maintain fuel economy.
Like in Flight Sim, you would, when you lean the mixture or lean the fuel, you'd look at that number to see where you are, how much fuel you're burning and stuff.
Exactly. To the left of that is your backup ADI, so it's the same thing that shows up, like the one that's between your knees. It's just the backup one in case you needed it. Above that is the right side indexer. That's where it shows like the NWS light.
Oh yeah.
It'll show you NWS in the middle. Above that is a light to show you that the aerial refueling door is open.
Okay.
It'll see like a blue ready light and stuff like that. And then the bottom one is labeled disk. It's also relevant to the aerial refueling stuff.
Okay.
And illuminates when you command the boom to be disconnected, pretty much. The right eyebrow is just a bunch of lights. It'll flash if you got an engine fire or if you lost hydraulic pressure or anything like that. It's basically like a warning light system. Below that, you should see a bunch of dials. That's your flight instrument stack. So like your oil pressure is the top one. Your NOS pause indicator is the middle one. That's basically the nozzle position of the engine. The RPM indicator is below that. 0 to 100, and it exceeds 100 for like if you go afterburner, that sort of thing. FTID is fan turbine inlet temperature in degrees Celsius. So that basically tells you the degrees Celsius of the engine.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
So it's almost like ITT in Flight Sim.
Pretty much, yeah. Below that is going to be your right-hand console. So you're going to see a compass below your FTID. Basic compass. To the right of that is going to be your fuel quantity indicator. So that switch in the middle at the bottom where you would select like your reserve, interior wing, exterior wing, and all that stuff. That switch controls this gauge, so you can choose where you want to read it from.
Doesn't seem to work well. The switch in the middle did.
So you might have to right click it.
Oh, yeah, seems to work.
So you don't have anything. You have very little in reserves, pretty much.
Yeah.
But norm will just show you cumulatively of what everything has.
Yep. Cool.
Next, below that, you're gonna see your pilot fault list display. That's the little screen there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like essentially another DED, but it only shows faults. And there's like a fault list page somewhere that you can look at, so you can see what all the codes mean. There's special like 4-letter codes and stuff like that.
So if I see something there, I'm probably dead.
Yeah, something's probably broke.
Yep.
To the right of that is your hydraulic pressure for hydraulics A and B. We can get into that later. It's not really that important right now.
Right.
I know B controls like your landing gear and stuff like that. That sort of thing. To the left of that, that's your caution light panel. That's basically, if you have a fault, it'll show an amber light of what's going on.
Oh, okay.
It'll show like flight control system fault, electrical system, probe heat, stores configs wrong, all that stuff. If you have any issues, it'll show up there. To the right of that is your liquid oxygen gauge. Basically shows how much liquid oxygen you have. It's probably hidden by your stick.
Yeah, it is.
It basically shows how much in liters, how much liquid fuel you have for your oxygen system. So in DCS, you can actually get hypoxia. So if you fly 30,000 feet and you don't turn on your oxygen system, your pilot will actually start blacking out, stuff like that. Your EPU gauge is below that. Your EPU runs on hydrazine, which is a highly toxic and very bad thing. You don't want to be anywhere around it at all, period.
Ew.
Like it will destroy you in any way it seems fit. It's very scary and it smells really bad.
Oof.
That sort of thing. That basically shows you how much hydrazine you have for your EPU. Below that is hidden by your stick, but below that should be a cabin pressure altitude gauge. Basically shows what your cabin pressure is inside the cockpit.
I'm really leaning. I can see it.
And then to the right of that, it'll be just a generic clock. I'm going to assume you know how to read a clock, so we don't have to go over that. Below that, now we're kind of on your right-hand console. We're getting to the end of this little shindig for basic stuff. The top right there, that's your sensor power panel. It's got to have the first four switches up top there. It's going to be left hard point, right hard point, your FCR switch, and your radar altitude. So your left and right hard point are your chin hard points. So that'll be like if you go into F2 and you look on the front of the jet where the intake is, you can actually put the TGP or anything like that on the sides of this intake. That's going to be your chin positions.
Okay.
And those are your two hard points for your switches. These are for things like your sniper pod or a lantern pod or an HTS for like if you're shooting harms or anything like that. These basically power those pods. Your FCR switch is obviously for your fire control radar switch. That's how you shoot your missiles and stuff like that.
Right.
Radar altitude is self-explanatory. It's just radar altitude. Let's see. Got your stick. We don't really need to go over that for the most part. It's pretty self-explanatory. Below those four switches is your HUD panel. So this is how you can control what shows up on your HUD. The VV/VAH stuff is the vertical velocity scales you can get on your HUD. The AT/FPM, that turns on your pitch ladder and your flight path marker and stuff like that.
So when you say HUD, you're talking about the one that follows my helmet or the one that's in the center?
The one in the center in front.
Okay, thank you.
The next switch is going to be your DED data. So if you flip that switch all the way up, it'll actually show your DED on your HUD, so you don't have to look. You don't have to like pan your eyes to the right to look at it. You may have to right click if left click doesn't work.
Oh.
So if you look at your HUD, it should have the DED now on your HUD at the bottom.
Yeah.
The DEPR RET switch, 3-position switch, standby, pry, and off. It's used for like a standby bombing mode. You know, you don't really have to use that. So we're going to the next row. This is your calculated airspeed, your true airspeed, and ground speed switch. So it'll change what kind of airspeed is being shown on your HUD.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
So if you look on your HUD on the left-hand side where your speed tape is,
right,
you'll see if you have it in CAS, you'll see a C next to it. If you put it in TAS, it'll show a T. That sort of thing. It'll let you know what kind of speed is actually being projected onto your HUD.
Neat.
Right of that is your altimeter switch. So you can switch from radar altimeter to baro altimeter to auto. Auto basically just indicates barometric above 1,500 feet and switches to radar when you get below 1,500 feet.
What's the preference there? I like how auto sounds.
You could just do auto.
Yeah.
It's all personal preference.
Okay.
There is a nuclear panel, but that's obviously not on here. Zero eyes panel is probably not implemented, so there's no reason to worry about that. VMS panel is a voice messaging system that basically I know this is a family-friendly stream, but there's a specific name for the system that yells at you and stuff.
Okay.
It's called B-word Betty.
Okay.
That's what everybody calls it. The thing that tells you, pull up, or flight control, that whole stuff.
Right.
That will inhibit it. That'll get her to shut up. If she starts annoying you, just flip that switch to inhibit, and it'll stop her from talking.
Shut up, Betty.
Next is your internal lighting panel. That's going to be for like your floodlights, your console lights, anything like that. Your instrument lighting, your backlighting for like if you want all the letters and stuff for all these switches to light up at nighttime, they'll light up green. You just flip that instrument panel lighting switch knob, and they're all dimmer, so you can adjust them however bright you want.
Nice.
Below that, your air conditioning panel.
It's important.
KY58 panel, I don't believe is implemented, so you don't have to worry about that. Anti-ice panel, I don't think there's icing to be worried about in DCS. I've never encountered it.
Okay.
Below that is your avionics power panel. You'll see a bunch of switches on there for MMC, which is your module mission computer. STA stands for the store stations. MFD basically powers you on your MFDs. UFC for upfront controls.
Gotcha. A bunch of stuff you would turn on when you turn on the plane.
Yeah,
basically.
Exactly. Then below to the left-hand side is like one of your most important switches. That's your INS switch. So it'll start in the off position. So right now it's switched to the align position, you can see right now. So you've been sitting here in the align thing that is probably aligned by now, so you can go ahead and switch that to nav.
Oops. I may have to realign. I switched it off by accident.
You just stick it back in norm.
Okay.
You can even do an in-flight align, so if it goes out while you're in flight, you should see that as an option further to the. If you turn it further to the right, you'll see an in-flight align option.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
So you can align in flight if something goes wrong. To the left of that is going to be your oxygen supply panel. It's basically how you turn on your oxygen supply. It'll show you the PSI that your oxygen's at and all that sort of thing.
Nice.
Um,
Whoa, there we go.
That is pretty much a very quick and rough overview of what every panel is, and that's kind of where if you didn't already know where it was, now you should have an idea where everything is in the cockpit.
Okay, I kind of like that. The things you would use the least are out of sight.
Yeah.
And as you get towards the center, these are the things you would use the most, and then it tapers off again.
Literally 90% of everything you would use is right in front of you or on the HOTAS itself. So
right.
The F16 is built so that 90% of the stuff you can do on the front can be handled just without taking your hand off the stick or the throttle.
So general question, just in general, are the other planes somewhat similar to that, or do they deviate from that philosophy?
There's very minor similarities between planes. Like probably the closest plane that you could get that's very similar to the Viper would be the F-18 Hornet.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still very, very strong changes between the two, just because one's Navy and one's Air Force, right? So like one change would be for a Navy plane to like shoot an AIM-120 at an enemy aircraft, it would use the trigger instead, right?
Mm-hmm.
But and then the HUD symbology is different. The radar symbology is different. The way you would change pages on the MFD is different. There's very minute differences between them, but they're all they all accomplish the same thing relatively similar.
Okay. All right, cool. So I think my takeaway from this is that the stuff on the sides that I can have to struggle to see, I don't have to worry about it too much during combat.
Right.
And a lot of the information I have a lot of control over what's shown on the HUD. I didn't know that, by the way.
A lot of the switchology for things like that are on the consoles, so to speak, are things you would handle pre-flight. Setting up the plane for a mission and stuff like that. But once you're actually in the air, sorting targets and stuff like that, all of that stuff would happen either right in front of your face, using the HOTAS, on the MFDs and all that stuff.
Yeah. I think that's where I'm going to probably focus on next is MFD stuff.
Yeah. I haven't even talked about, the various MFD pages or anything like the upfront, the ICP stuff.
Yeah.
Like if you look on the number buttons for the ICP, you'll see different like time and cruise and steer point and stuff like that. A lot of those pages aren't implemented in DCS, but they are in BMS, and I can tell you what they will do. Like you could hit them, and if you were on the main page, if you hit them, it'll like if you hit the cruise page, it'll bring up like an endurance page so that you can see exactly what your fuel economy is like. So you can see how much more air time you have before you start getting in like emergency fuel situations and stuff like that.
Okay. This is great information, man. I appreciate this. This is
no problem.
This is great reference material. It's like a video manual. It's like, what does this do? Let me scrub through the video and see.
It was whenever you said that you like to, come back to these kinds of videos.
Yeah.
And kind of play them in the background while you're like learning and stuff. So I figured, you know what, I might as well like write something down and like kind of have like an overview kind of thing, so that you can have like a resource to come back and listen to while you're flying and that sort of thing.
Definitely.
And then later on, we can dive deep into like the ICP stuff, like the DED pages.
That's the fun stuff.
That's like how you would put in like laser codes and things like that. Then we can go into like MFD pages. It'll show you like how to use like the SMS page for like bombs and stuff, and like how you can like if you want to drop a cluster bomb, I can tell you how to set a specific altitude that the canister opens. So the bomblets might open up like in a wider area or like a smaller area, depending on what you're trying to blow up.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we can go like one at a time and just go through one weapon system to the next and go over like different HUD elements and different HUD symbology and all that kind of stuff.
Cool. All right, man. Appreciate the lesson. I'm gonna clip this for the YouTubes and everybody else who
Sounds good.
want to come back and watch this for their own reference material. If you guys have the F16, youtube.com/Bwana. You want to go there right now. Subscribe.
Especially the second episode, because that was the most hilarious thing on the
That episode was good. That was funny. That was definitely funny.
I showed the guys that I fly with on a regular basis that, and they were rolling the whole time.
A lot of crashing, man. There was a lot of crashing. Oh, man. I blame Ninja for all of it.
Blame
He was
Ninja
the cause.
If anything blows up, blame Ninja.
Exactly. It's like, don't roll the plane. I'm like, dude, that was the last thing I was thinking about. And next thing you know, rolling the plane. I was like, this is your fault, dude. This is your fault. All right, man. I think we're going to stop here. And, yeah, appreciate the help. I'm going to do another day next week of this. So I'll let you know. I'll try to let you know a couple days ahead of time, see if you're available.
Usually, I'm ready when you're ready, so.
Yeah, I noticed that. That's cool.
And if you want to do like some like 101 stuff off stream, I'm cool with that too. Kind of like little minute things.
Yeah.
So that we don't have to do it all on stream or anything like that.
Yep. Me, man.
All right, brother.
All right. See you later, Slaughter.
It was fun.
It was fun. Yep. Thank you.
No problem. Take it easy.
Take it easy.